Welcome to Legends with Bevo. Thanks to the Holdy Hotel, Coopers and Anytime Fitness Glenelg.
G'day, welcome to another edition of Legends with Bevo. Today we're down at the mighty Gaza Eagles Footy Club. And speaking of mighty, I'm joined by a man I've known for a very long time. We went to high school, believe it or not. Looks like he's about 30. I look like about 50 compared to him. Matt Krieg, great to have you on, mate. Now, you're about to embark on a very wonderful thing. That is your first ever marathon. And it's to raise money for a great young fella. Mate, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so young Cooper, so he's had to make a really tough decision over the course of the last couple of months. So he was born without a bone in his lower leg, and after a couple of attempts of some corrective surgery, he's made the tough decision to amputate the leg. So what we're trying to do is raise as much money as we can to support him and the family with whatever they want to use that money for in the future, because obviously there's going to be some expenses that build up.
And how'd you get to know young Cooper?
So he's a friend of my daughter's from school. So initially I was always going to do, always wanted to do a marathon, and it was going to be it was a present to myself for my 40th birthday, which was earlier in the year. And I initially wanted to do it just because I wanted to try and get myself into a bit of a space physically and mentally that I hadn't experienced before, but I also wanted to do it for some sort of significant purpose. And then Maddie came home and told us the story of young Coop, and I just thought, right, that's it, we're going to do this. And so far we've managed to raise just over 12 or 13,000, so which is really, really good.
That's wonderful, mate.
Yeah.
Well done to you.
Yeah, it's great.
And obviously Mixed 2.3, Soda and Joe's have been wonderful. Tell us more about their support.
Yeah, oh look, absolutely. So right back at the start, because initially the marathon was supposed to be on the 31st of May and has got pushed back through the situation that we found ourselves in this year. But right back at the start, I got in contact with Soda, and he's been nothing short of sensational, mate. He really took over, and they've had Coop and the family in at the station a couple of times and interviewed them, and he's really taken control of the situation and promoted Coop's plight. And I think the Adelaide 36ers are involved as well. And some of the messages that Soda managed to organise, some well wishes from people like Andrew Bogut and Joe Ingles and some of the Port Power players, Travis Boak, etc., has just been fantastic. I know Coop and the family are really appreciative of that.
And how is the young fella going? Because obviously he's had the surgery, and he's, from what I've heard, he's just one of the most loveliest young fellas as well. And for his age, he's so such a bright young spark, isn't he? And especially what he's gone through. Credit to him and his family, Matty.
Definitely resilient. I mean, it's a significant adversity, obviously, and I don't know how I'd deal with that as an adult male, let alone a 12-year-old boy having to make a decision like that. I know he's been fronting up to school again, at least on a part-time basis initially, and that's going really, really well. So he's handled himself and the situation really admirably, and he's super keen to get back into his sport. And that was the initial driving focus, I think, behind making that tough decision to amputate rather than go for more corrective surgery.
Yeah, it's just such a horrible situation,
yeah.
but it's great that sort of we've been able to turn it into a positive one.
Absolutely.
And a bit more about sort of Coop's situation. What's the actual diagnosis that the poor young lad sort of, I guess, got diagnosed with? Yeah,
so in terms of the actual sort of the terminology behind it, I'm not 100% sure, Bevo, but it was he didn't have a bone in his lower leg, I'm led to believe, or it didn't grow correctly, the fibula bone. So as Coop grew, the leg didn't grow, and they tried to have some corrective surgery, but ended up with the knee being a little bit fused and bent and unable to straighten his leg, so therefore he was unable to walk, and he was pretty much on crutches the whole time. So, as I said, he made the decision that, okay, enough's enough, that's going to come off, and really his driving focus was to get back to sport, get back to playing basketball, which he loves. And he's unfortunately a Port Power supporter, but the Port Power people have been fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Oh, he's backing for a good team.
Yeah,
good team
you are too, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the marathon itself, mate. How's the training going? And you must be pumped for it, but slightly nervous at the same time.
Yeah. I'm really excited, and I'm unbelievably scared all at the same time. I'm really sore at the moment because I did a pretty long run on Saturday, albeit still well short of the actual marathon distance of 42 Ks, and the body's certainly feeling it. But I'm really looking forward to the challenge of the mental challenge more than anything, of knowing that no matter what happens, I'm finishing this race. As long as I get it done inside the 6-hour time frame and they don't walk me off the course, I'm really, really looking forward and excited to that moment. I'm really hopeful that Coop and the family can be at the finish line at the end and we can celebrate that moment together.
And where's the start and finish, like so people can sort of get involved in that, Matty?
Yeah, look, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, of all the restrictions, but I know the start and finish outside Adelaide Oval, I think, and I think this year it's a circuit that involves two laps of a 21k roughly circuit, which I'll need to do a bit more research on. I'm hoping there's going to be people there that point me in the right direction.
As long as you get it done, mate.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And I've known you for a long time, like I mentioned before. You're a pretty tough and determined lad, so I'm sure you'll do well, Matty.
We'll get it done.
And I'll put this up on the Facebook page and the other socials, but how can people sort of get involved and help out this really good cause and help out your fundraisers as well?
Yeah, look, my wife's set up a GoFundMe page quite some time ago, and the support has been absolutely sensational. So we'll certainly send the link your way, and we'll promote it again through our own social media platforms as well in the next couple of weeks.
And outside of Cooper, you've been doing some great things yourself. The Gaza Footy Club, where we're here tonight, you've actually been involved the very first year as the head coach as the A grade, which congratulations to you on that, Kriegy.
Thank you.
And how's that been going? You've been enjoying it this year?
It's been fantastic, mate, to be honest. I've been out in the country now for a couple of years, and to return close to home to the Gaza Footy Club, which, to be honest, was a club I never, being a Broadview local and a Broadview junior, I never ever in a million years thought I'd end up at Gaza, but really, really glad that I have ended up here. It's a fantastic club. On-field success has eluded the club for a couple of years, but we feel like we're making some progress.
And Jars is obviously coached here and played out here for a number of years as well, and you've got a close friendship with Jars.
Yeah.
Have you had much to do with him in terms of helping this year with Gaza and him knowing the boys and the way they sort of go about it as well?
Not so much this year. I mean, yeah, you're right. Jars is a great friend of mine, and still very much. I've got a lot of gratitude towards Jars and the opportunity that he gave myself in my own footy career, and I think he was really conscious of wanting to let me have a go at it sort of my way, but no doubt at some stage in the future we'll be touching base and catching up for a coffee at one of his favourite cafes.
Well, hopefully he might be able to be an assistant or something like that and help you out in the future.
Wouldn't that be good?
Or you could play C's next year together, wouldn't that be awesome?
That's right. I think you're still having a kick at Morpheville Park, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
And you're also doing some really good things with your own business that you've founded called Driven From Within.
Yep.
Tell us more about that, Kriegy.
Yeah, so I guess probably 2 years ago I sort of relinquished a leadership role that I had at a school out in the north. I developed a real passion for developing leadership capacity within people and organisational culture. So I started the business Driven From Within, and that's exactly what we do. We offer professional learning programs around intentional development of leadership and organisational culture, and we're lucky enough now to be working in multiple different sites across multiple different industries, including some sports teams and education and in the corporate sector, and just absolutely love the work. Much like what you're doing here, love the work that I do now. Oh,
that's awesome, man. Yeah, you're obviously right back at you as well. I think such a culture and leadership such an important thing these days. And if businesses are out there watching today, Kriegy, how can they get involved and get you involved into their particular, whether it be organisations, sporting organisations, businesses, or what it might be? Sure,
certainly we've got a website they can visit, www.drivenfromwithin.com, or of course they can email me. That's probably the best way, matt@drivenfromwithin.com.au.
I like it.
Yeah.
And for those people that are watching out there as well, you had a bit of time involved where I played out there and you played as well, and play a coach at the mighty Birdwood Roosters.
Yeah, definitely.
So how would you find your time out there, Kriegy, and any possibility of going back there in the future again, or?
To be honest, Bevo, that was some of my most enjoyable and memorable football moments was out at Birdwood. I absolutely loved the time out there, both as a player initially and then as a player coach, and made some really strong connections and strong friendships out there. Interestingly enough, I did try and go back there a couple of years ago, and for one reason or another, it didn't pan out that way. But I keep a close eye on that footy club, and I still love it to this day.
I couldn't agree with you more. Our pre-season camp, we won't talk about too much because it's definitely an M+ one, but there was certainly some good times there, mate, that's for sure.
That was good, yeah, that was really good, yeah.
Oh, classic. And your footy career as well, mate, a lot of people forget about this. You played 110 games of SANFL footy at a league level, so you definitely could play a bit, and you played in the grand final in 2007. Now, this is an interesting one because you played for the Doggies, your uncle played for the Doggies as well, and then you went on to play for the Roosters,
Yeah.
and you played against the Doggies in your 100th game
Yeah.
in 2007. Obviously, the game didn't go to plan, but it must have been a huge buzz though to play, in front of a massive crowd in a grand final for the SANFL though, Kriegy.
Look, to be honest, it was a dream come true, Bevo, for two reasons. To ultimately be pursuing that ultimate team success, playing in a grand final, and then to be playing my 100th game in the grand final. I just thought this is perfect. The script's been written here against the old club. This is going to take. The footy gods are smiling on me today. And it certainly wasn't to be that case. I think I played the worst game of footy I'd ever played. I don't remember actually having a kick. And we lost by about 11 goals. And Centrals were certainly the powerhouse team of that era. They had significant success, as you know. And we'd played our grand final the week before, I think, against the Eagles. So it was fantastic to get there, but unfortunately didn't get to taste the ultimate
Success. But like I mentioned before, actually getting to play in one of those is a pretty amazing achievement, and just that huge buzz and build up, and playing in front of a massive crowd would have been pretty cool, no doubt.
It was so overwhelming, to be honest. I completely forgot to strap my ankles before the game, like something I'd done, as you said, like 100 times before. Completely forgot my pre-match routine. Remember to strap my ankles about 5 minutes before the game. I was getting needles into my knee and needles out of my knee before the game, so it was pretty overwhelming. And to be honest, I've never ever watched the game. Someone streamed it on Facebook a couple of months ago, and I thought, I'll watch it for 5 minutes, and then I saw myself standing the mark 3 times in 5 minutes. I thought, I've seen enough. It's a fantastic experience, but obviously would have loved to have gone that one step further.
Yeah, most definitely. And I actually interviewed Daniel Healy recently, former teammate of yours, and he actually said that he unfortunately feels as though he cost you a couple of grand finals there, mate, because you lost your spot and he took your spot. And he was obviously a big part of the Dogs dynasty, and which you won a reserves premiership though back in the day, so that must have been pretty cool though still.
Oh, absolutely. Any premiership at any level was a fantastic experience. But Hills was a fantastic player for the club, fantastic captain for the club, and captained the club through one of the most successful eras before Paul Thomas took over. But there was a couple of years there where I played pretty much every game and somehow managed to get myself out of the team at the right time, at the wrong time of the year, which was unfortunate, but so be it. That's footy.
That is footy, and it's happened to me at Birdwood as well, mate.
Absolutely.
So you just move on, don't you? So, also, just wanted to ask you, mate, obviously you mentioned the Dogs dynasty because you're a part of that and you saw it firsthand. What do you think made them such a powerful unit and I guess such a formidable opposition, because they just dominated the 2000s and amazing record, that it's going to probably be very hard to beat. You were part of it. You were part of the inner sanctum, Kriegy. What do you think made them so strong?
So my time at the Dogs, I was under, obviously that dynasty sort of covered a few different coaches started under Peter Jonas, and then obviously Alistair Clarkson had a couple of years there, and then obviously Roy Laird finished it off. So most of my time there, whilst I experienced all three of those coaches, most of my time was under Roy. And I think the major difference there was the standard of training. The standard of training, and it was player driven as well, was really, really exceptional. Obviously, they had a really good list. They managed to get the right people into the club in terms of the recruits. So not only were these guys, and you think of obviously the Chris and James Gowns, who I'm sure you've interviewed before, guys like Simon Arnott and Marco Bello and Tyson Hay. So fantastic footballers, but fantastic people. And so the strength of the club was built on the fact that these guys came into the club as outsiders initially, but embraced the club, made it their own. The club embraced them, and the result of that was a fantastic culture that just bred success.
And like I mentioned before, it's unprecedented, isn't it? And I don't think it's going to be beaten for a very long time, if ever. So
absolutely, and it'd be lovely to see them claw their way back from what's been a bit of a rough year for them this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially under Jeff's in his first year there, and he's a fantastic guy and an excellent operator. So it'd be great to see them have some success again. Well,
they've won a couple of games now, so they're heading in the right direction.
Had a fantastic result on the weekend. They probably pinched one over Nord, and Nord are an aspiring finals team this year, which they've done themselves no favours with the weekend's result, but a great result for Centrals.
And who are some of the funnier teammates? You mentioned the Gowans boys. Who are some of the funniest teammates you played with at the Dogs in North, Kriegy, over your time?
Well, Chris and James certainly were characters at the Dogs. At North, I suppose, and look, I had the pleasure of coaching him again this year. Chrissy Laddams was a bit of a character. I always had a soft spot for Tate Kaysler, who's I think he's one of the assistants up at the Gold Coast at the moment. But
great fella, yep.
Yeah. There's always plenty of characters in the footy. Most footy clubs are great places to be, aren't they? There's lots of characters in footy clubs, but yeah, probably Chrissy Laddams. He was a bit of a prankster, a bit of a joker.
And can you share a couple of these pranks that you've...
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Worth a try. No, in all seriousness, mate, obviously I've mentioned before, we went to school together. I've known you for a long time, and I'm super proud of what you're doing, mate. It's an amazing thing to run your very first marathon at the age of 40, and I wish you all the best. And, congratulations on everything you've done with Coops, and also to Kelly as well for raising what you've done so far. That's just an amazing effort, and hopefully we can raise some more money for such a great cause, Kriegy, and all the very best, mate.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, mate, and thanks for the opportunity to promote the event here with your lovely show.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Thank you.